Hey there, welcome ladies and gentlemen. Welcome Dr. A here, and I got Amy Sink here, our math specialist. So welcome to our first ever math special. We're going to be doing these every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for our Texas teachers out there, 6 to 7 Central Time. So we are here. We are ready to go. And pardon us if there are any technical errors because you guys are our guinea pigs. Amy's already laughing. I already started off with a bang. That intro countdown, there was supposed to be a video at the end. And guess what? I had happy trigger finger and I shut it before the video came on. So welcome. We have fun. So I don't want to take any thunder or any time away from Amy. I'm going to let Amy take over. And Amy's going to introduce herself real quick. And she's got a series of questions to work out with you. So they're all yours, Amy.
Hey, everyone. I'm so excited that you're here with us today. My name's Amy Sink, and I am one of the math specialists here at the Learning Liaisons, and I'm so excited to spend our Wednesday night together doing a few math problems. Just a quick kind of how this is going to go. I have about 10 problems prepared of varying levels. So we've got problems from GK, Praxis Core, high school, middle school, elementary school. We've got problems from all different levels, and so we're going to work through some of these. If you came with a question that you have that you want me to solve, feel free to drop it in the comments. And I'm actually going to ask you to let me know what test or exam you are preparing for, because if we have nobody here preparing for the high school course, I don't want to go over a bunch of high school questions. So let me know in the comments what you are preparing for. I'm also going to give a disclaimer that we have a 160-pound Great Dane, and he may make a debut and he may bark at a squirrel. So just an FYI, if you hear a big bark, that's what it is. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our first problem. So one of the biggest domains that I've noticed that people struggle with the most in any of our exams, K6, pre-K through 3, core, GK, is geometry. I noticed that we've got elementary, GK math, EC6, which is K6, and 6 through 12. We've got a nice variety in here today, so we'll just go through all the problems. So geometry is a big struggle for a lot of people because geometry often, it just has a bunch of rules and things that you have to memorize. So this question, while it specifically does come from a GK core kind of level course, this question is going to apply K through 12 because understanding the rules that go along with quadrilaterals and being able to apply them is really going to help you high school teachers with translations and all of that, being able to do proofs and stuff. But then in K through 6, it's really going to help us just be able to differentiate between shapes. So which of the following shapes does not have two pairs of parallel sides? We've got a parallelogram, a rhombus, a rectangle, and a trapezoid. Some of you might think this question is super easy. Some of you are like, I have no idea. So start to think about what answer would you choose, and I'm going to work through this problem. We're going to talk about the properties of each of these shapes. So a parallelogram is defined by the parallel shape sides that it has. So a parallelogram, by definition, has two sets of parallel sides. Two sets of parallel sides. Whew, there is some delay in my iPad, so if it looks kind of wonky, I apologize. We'll fix that before next week. Two sets of parallel sides. That means that we've got two top sides that are parallel, and we got two side sides that are parallel. That said, oftentimes we envision a parallelogram looking something like this. However, there's other shapes that are defined as parallelograms as well. Other shapes, like a rectangle, are also classified as parallelograms because they have two sets of parallel sides. So a rectangle has two sets of parallel sides, and it has equal angles, specifically 90-degree angles. So a rectangle is going to look something like this. where it's more standing up straight. Sometimes parallelograms look like they're rectangles that have been pushed down. Rectangles are standing up straight because they have those 90-degree angles in the corners, plus the two sets of parallel sides. So a rectangle is a parallelogram. However, this specific parallelogram is not a rectangle because it doesn't have those 90-degree angles. Hello to those of you who are just joining us. I see that some of you, oh my goodness, you've got that GK math tomorrow, Karen. Good to see you. We've got some FTCE math 5 through 9. Hi, Nyla. It's good to see all of you. We are just getting started. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's talk about a rhombus because I kind of skipped rectangle to talk about it. Let's talk about a rhombus. A rhombus has two sets of parallel sides. And what makes a rhombus so special is a rhombus has 4 equal sides. 4 equal sides. So a rhombus could look something like this, where all of these are equal, and the tops are parallel and the sides are parallel. Parallel meaning that they don't intersect. But a rhombus could also look like a square, where a square has those two sets of parallel sides, 4 equal sides, but a square also has 90-degree angles. So a square is a rhombus, but a rhombus is not a square. Trapezoid, at this point, you've probably figured out that the answer is trapezoid because we've already decided that the other 3 have 2 sets of parallel sides. A trapezoid has 1 set of parallel sides, and it can look a lot of different ways. A trapezoid could look like this. A trapezoid could look like this, and this is what us elementary teachers think of when we think of a trapezoid, is those like red little blocks that we have in pattern blocks. But these are trapezoids because they have 1 set of parallel sides. That's just the way to denote that those are parallel sides. So the trapezoid is the only shape that does not have 2 sets of parallel sides. Awesome. Let's go ahead and work through the second problem. So very similar problem. I wanted to go over a couple problems like this just because I know that rules with quadrilaterals really trip people up. Which of the following shapes has equal angles? So we've got parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, trapezoid. Same answers because this question was meant to like kind of piggyback on the other question. We just talked about how a parallelogram, a rhombus, and a rectangle have those 2 sets of parallel sides, and a trapezoid only has 1 set of parallel sides. Trapezoid's definitely not going to be the right answer because it's not going to have equal angles. Those sides are all kind of wonky. But what delineates one of these shapes from the other? The rectangle is the only shape that has those 90-degree angles. It's the only shape that's going to have equal angles. Where the parallelogram and the rhombus could have equal angles, but they don't have to. It's not by definition. A rectangle is going to be your only shape in this list that has to have those equal angles, and those angles are going to be 90 degrees. So C is going to be our correct answer in this case. Excellent job. Let's move on to number 3. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome. My name is Amy Sink, and I'm going to be spending the next 50 minutes with you on math. So for those of you who are GK, middle school, elementary school, this problem is not for you. This is for our high school people. But stick around because I've got plenty of elementary and middle school problems later. And hey, who knows? You might need to know this one day. What is the value of sine of 5 pi over 3? The pi button wasn't working on my PowerPoint today, so I just typed out pi. But that says 5 pi, where the pi symbol is going to look normal like this, 5 pi over 3. So if you know your unit circle, this is going to be real easy for you. If you don't know your unit circle, this is going to give you a little bit of a challenge. Let's just quickly talk about a unit circle and the way that I like to remember the unit circle. And I was actually tutoring the other day, and my tutoring client actually gave me a new way to remember the unit circle. So I was like, oh my gosh, I totally have to share this with my peeps on Wednesday. So I'm going to draw a unit circle. Unit circle being called unit circle because a unit is usually 1, and this is 1 unit away, which creates your circle. So we've got a circle here. And if we zoomed out, we would have a coordinate plane. We would have X's and Y's. So if we look at this, this would be 0, 1. Now, for those of you who are not high school and you need help with coordinate planes, pay attention because I'm going over coordinate planes right now. That would be 0, 1. This would be 1, 0 because that's your y-axis. You're going up 1, but you're not going over any. This would be -1, 0 because you're going in the negative direction from the origin. And I apologize about the delay in this iPad. I don't know what's going on. And then this one would be 0, -1. Again, because you're going down -1, but you're not going over any. So it's 0, -1. Oh, I totally messed this one up over here. This is not 0, 1, and this is not 1, 0. This is 1, 0, and this is 0, 1. Because your X value is the first one. So you're going over 1, and then you're not going up any. And then you're going over 0, and then you're going up 1. Now, your X is always going to be the first. Your Y is always going to be the second, because in the ABCs, that's what happens. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, blah, X, Y, Z. So in a coordinate plane, it goes X, Y. Again, high school people, you're good, but elementary and middle school people, you need to remember that piece of it. So now, going back to this whole sine 5 pi over 3. In a unit circle, you know that you've got all of those different dividers, really, or lines that create triangles on this unit circle. So we've got pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3. This is obviously 0 pi because we haven't gone anywhere yet around our circle. This is going to be pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3, pi over 2 is your like straight up and down. And then on the other side, so when I'm going around my unit circle and I can't remember what comes next, I think about this as being 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6. What comes next? 4 pi over 6. 4 pi over 6 can be converted into 2 pi over 3. So this could also be 2 pi over 3. This is going to be 3 pi over 4. It's not catching up. I don't know what's happening. Well, that's fun. Okay, there we go. Now it's finally catching up. Sorry. So we got 2 pi over 3, and then you've got your pi over 4s. I'll just talk about the pi over 4s since it's still catching up. We've got our pi over 4, 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4 is up here, 3 pi over 4 is going to be here, and then 4 pi over 4 is going to be that y or that x-axis because it's a whole pi. So we've got 4 pi over 4 or pi, but then if we look at our pi over 6s, you've got 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, and then you've got 5 pi over 6 over here. That said, we're making our way around to 5 pi over 3. We're just not there yet. So we have 5 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6. We got 7 pi over 6 here, 8 pi over 6 here, 9 pi over 6 here, which is also 3 pi over 2, 10 pi over 6, and 10 pi over 6 is also going to be 5 pi over 3. So we finally found where we are on the unit circle. 10 pi over 6 is right here. Now, what's that coordinate going to be? Well, if you know your unit circle, you know that the only two options you have are square root over 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, which is your pi over 4s. So you have square root of 2 over 2, comma square root of 2 over 2, negative square root of 2 over 2, comma square root of 2 over 2. Like it's always going to be square root of 2 over 2, comma square root of 2 over 2 for pi over 4. It's just going to matter what quadrant you're in, whether it's a positive or a negative. And then your other option is 1/2 or square root of 3 over 2. It's just a matter of which order they're going to be in your x or your y. For this one, I know that my x coordinate is going to be 1/2. And here's why. And I don't remember that. I'm telling you, I do not have this memorized. But what I do know is that this is about 1/2 over. This is not even close to 1/2 over. If I look at how close I am to my 0, -1, I'm like really, really, really close to that. You see that tick mark? That's my y coordinate. That's like 0.9. But this is like 1/2. So that's going to be my x. So I have 1/2 is my x. And then if I'm using 1/2, it's going to be square root of 3 over 2. So square root of 3 over 2, and it's going to be negative because it's the y value. Now, sign. Is sign going to be positive or negative? Or not sign is going to be positive. Is sign going to be your x or your y? Sign is going to be your y value. Sign is going to be your y value because it goes in the alphabetical order. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Cosine is x. Sine is y. So I know that I'm going over 1/2, down square root of 3 over 2. So my answer is going to be negative square root of 3 over 2, which I changed the problem and didn't change the answers. So that's always awesome. I wanted to change the problem so that we didn't use duplicate problems, but oh well. So the answer is C if that was a negative square root of 3 over 2. You guys are joining us on our first time ever doing this, so you get all the technical errors. So the answer is negative square root of 3 over 2 because you're going over x, down y, sine is your y value, all of that. I'm going to look at this question. There was a question that someone put on Facebook about a student building towers. The tower one had 1 square, the next tower had 5 squares, and the third tower have 10. Which tower will have 642 squares? How do you figure these out? Excellent question. I will go over that in a little bit. I'll definitely go over that. That's a great question. Thanks, Karen. I do try to respond really quickly on Facebook, especially over the summer since I'm not working at school. So if you tag me, I'll be able to find it. If you can find it on Facebook, sometime between now and like 7:45, I'll pull up my Facebook here and see if I can't solve it. Otherwise, I'll try to solve it based on the information you just gave me. All right, one more high school problem. This one actually was pulled from our middle school course. I changed it so that it wasn't exactly from our course so that you're getting more problems. But middle school teachers, 5 through 9, depending on the test you take, you do have to know basic sine, cosine, and tangent. So look at your blueprint and see if that's you, but you do have to know basic sine, cosine, and tangent. So sine, cosine, and tangent, if they give us a right triangle, it's really super easy. I like to think of my little rhyme, SOHCAHTOA. So let's write that down. SOHCAHTOA. What that means is we have sine, cosine, and tangent. Sine, cosine, and tangent. So we have sine, cosine, and tangent. And sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is opposite over adjacent. And when I'm talking about all of those, what we're talking about is those triangle sides. So if I'm looking at theta, which is just your angle measurement, they defined it for us. Theta is down here. If I'm looking at theta, I'm going to look for opposite over adjacent or opposite over hypotenuse or whichever trig function we're looking for. So because we're looking for tangent, if we look at our little rhyme, we're looking for opposite over adjacent. Now, let's just talk about what each of these are. Hypotenuse is always going to be the side across from your 90-degree angle. So this is my 90-degree angle, and it should be labeled. This is going to be hypotenuse no matter what. Doesn't matter what triangle it is. If you have a 90-degree angle, your hypotenuse is going to be across from it. So 90-degree angle, hypotenuse is a Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Someone give me a thumbs up. It just told me that you can't hear me, that my microphone disconnected. So I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. Someone give me a comment like, yep, I can hear you. Otherwise, I'm probably just sitting here. Okay, good. Thank you, Amarellis. I was like, oh no. So we're doing opposite over adjacent. So this is hypotenuse. Opposite is going to be way over here. Adjacent is going to be right here. Why? Because opposite is literally all the way opposite of the theta. Adjacent means next to. Opposite is across. Adjacent is next to. So we've got tangent is opposite over adjacent, which is 16 over 5, which is going to be letter B. Excellent. All right, let's keep going. Jason, big problem, or Dr. A, my computer just said that it's out of battery and it's going to die in like 5 minutes, but I can't plug it in because it's plugged into that screen. So I don't know if you want me to end early tonight or what you want me to do.
Oh, you can't plug it into the, no, it won't work.
Technical difficulties, my friend. No, remember I have only one plug. And so because it's plugged into the TV, it won't, and I was fully charged at 5, but I never disconnected it. So that's just a note for me that I need to
maybe try
keep
to
it
plug
charged until 7.
Try to plug it in there. Maybe you'll get lucky on that adapter.
I'm not in the adapter. Like I'm literally in. Okay, we'll try it. Hold, please. I don't have an adapter that has 2 of those kinds of cords. I only have one.
Oh.
Here,
Okay.
I'll unplug my TV and see what happens. We're just going to see what happens.
This is why we got the guinea pigs here tonight.
Sorry, guys. First time ever.
Oh, boy. Look at that.
Oh, my. Look at that screen. That's awful. Okay. Thanks for bearing with us. All right, let me unshare, and then we'll reshare just the iPad, hopefully.
Yep. While Amy's hooking that back up, in the chat box, go ahead and let us know what specific test are you prepping for right now for math? Thank you, Karen. We appreciate it. I knew when we did the first one, we'll have some issues. That's why we're going to work it out. I didn't send it out to everybody.
Okay, yeah, I totally lost it. I can't even, like, my iPad's not even recognizing that I'm trying to hook up into anything.
Okay, so I guess just go as long as you can on the battery then.
All right, my friends, we're going to plug in. I don't have any more juice in my computer, so when it dies, it dies. So I'm going to say goodbye right now, just in case it dies on y'all. And Jason,
now we know. Note to self, Amy, charge the computer.
Yeah, it was fully charged at 5, but we did a whole test run, y'all. We did a test run at 5, and then I was like, I don't want to disconnect anything for fear that it won't ever work again, and that was a bad decision. So let's try to reconnect this screen as fast as possible so we don't waste battery time.
You could turn down the brightness too on your laptop.
Good. Oh, not brighter. Looks like we have a lot of people prepping for GK, which is awesome. Come back next week. We'll be ready to go next week.
And Ashley, thanks for joining us. I see you're at EC6. Yeah, we're filming with Amy's finished up filming for that new boot camp for the EC6 math boot camp. So you guys are going to get some good stuff there.
I'm so excited for that one. I'm super excited for that. I'm excited for all of them. If you already have my course, you know I get real excited about math. Yeah, I completely lost the ability to even share my iPad. It like
you
isn't
gotta
even
turn
working.
on. You have to turn on that app, the share app, the whatever the downloaded.
Reflector.
Yep.
It quit automatically.
Yep, you gotta turn it on first, and then you'll be able to do it. Cynthia, every week it's at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. But you could also get all the questions that Amy had planned too. It's right on the screen. You text that phone number, that phrase, and it'll fire off an email with all the questions.
Yes, and then in our Facebook group, if you're like, I tried to solve that problem and it didn't work, tag me and I'll solve it for you, since we're gonna end early tonight because it's gonna cut us off. So, all right, problem 5. I'm not normally gonna speed through these questions, but we're gonna speed through these questions. And Dolores, make sure you tag me on that question on Facebook so I can answer it for you. If you can find it with the squares. All right, which of the following correctly gives the area of the figure? Here's how we're gonna solve this. We're gonna solve this. Oh, I'm not even sharing my screen.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you that.
I can see it. Y'all can't see it. That's not helpful. There we go. Which of the following correctly gives the area of the figure below? Classic GK question. Like, GK loves these kinds of problems. What you're going to do is split this shape up. That's the way that I like to do it. There's another way you can do it by finding the area of the whole figure and then subtracting. I like to just cut it up. Sorry, Sarah. I'm like yelling because I'm trying to go fast. I'll quiet it down. So you're going to split this shape up. So you could split it this way, or you could split it this way. Either way is going to work. And the area, you're going to be trying to find the area of both of those rectangles. We know that area equals length times width. And because we've got two small rectangles here, we've got length and we've got width. So for this one rectangle, you're going to do 8 times 4. And that's going to equal 32. For this rectangle down here, it gets a little tricky because we have to find the other dimension. So we know that we have 11 times something, but we don't know what the measurement of that rectangle is, or that side is. But what we do know is that this whole thing is 16. And if that whole thing is 16, what I also know is this little piece is 8. And 8 plus what is 16? 8 plus 8 is 16. And so because I know that 8 plus 8 is 16, that means that this is 8. So I'm going to do 11 times 8. Now, that's not drawn to scale. This is 8 and this is 8. Those don't even look the same. That is normal. They will do that sometimes so that you're not relying on your vision. You're relying on your ability to interpret mathematics. So 11 times 8 is 88. 8 times 4 is 32. And I'm going to use my 4-function calculator. If you noticed, someone, if you're in our Facebook group, someone posted about the fact that you can ask for a 4-function calculator at your testing site, and sometimes they'll give it to you. And that is way better than trying to manipulate a calculator with a mouse. So that equals 120. And that's awesome. That answer is not there either because I didn't check these answers before I sent them to Jason. So 8 times 4 is 32. 11 times 8 is 88. And that equals 120. That's awesome. This is just going lovely. All right, problem 6. We're going to keep moving so that you can get as much as possible before we have to close out tonight. The diagram to the right shows foods 85 students like, where the options are apples, strawberries, grapes, and any combination of the three. What fraction of students selected more than one type of these foods? So this is a fraction problem, probability problem. And so we're looking at how many students chose more than one type of food. Well, how do we figure that out? Well, what this is called is a Venn diagram. We've got a 3-part Venn diagram. What we've got is we've got apples, we've got strawberries, and we've got grapes. So the number of students that chose apples as their favorite food are all the people in the green. The number of students who chose strawberries are going to be all the purple people in the red, and then grapes is going to be all the people in the purple. So if I asked how many students chose apples, do not get sucked into 14. 14 looks like it's going to be how many students chose apples, but don't forget about all these people down here, the 7, the 13, and the 12. Those students chose apples too. They just chose apples and something else. So in this case, we're looking for the number of students that chose more than one type of food. Yes, Sarah, you're going to look for those blended bubbles because this person chose apples and strawberries. This person chose grapes and strawberries. This person chose apples and grapes. And these people just love fruit. They chose everything. So we're going to add all of those numbers up and then put it over 85. Because when we're looking for the fraction or the probability, this is not a probability problem, but probabilities, you're going to put the total on the bottom too. So we're going to put our total on the bottom and our desired on the top, or our number of people who chose more than one type of food. So what we have is we have 85 on the bottom, which check, 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 check. They all have 85 on the bottom. And our desired number is going to be exactly what Sarah said. 7 plus 13 plus 6 plus 12 is going to give us, why did I not check any of these problems? I thought I did. 7 plus 13 plus 12 plus 6, 38. That's why, because I can't type things into my calculator. So our answer is going to be 38 out of 85, which is C. Make sense? All right, let's keep moving. We're getting through a lot of problems on 3% of battery. All right, the above list of numbers represents the ages of 10 students working together on a school-wide project. If the average age of the group members is 15 years, which of the following is the value of P? Love these kinds of problems. I just do. I don't know why, because I love all problems. On Monday, you're taking elementary. You got this. Good luck. All right, so we've got all these numbers. And what else were we given? We were told that the average is 15. Now, if you're in my courses, you've heard me say this before. Average and mean are the same thing. Average equals mean. And we've got a couple of different measures of central tendency. We've got average or mean. We've got mode. We've got median. And we've got range. Your mode is going to be the most, the data point that appears the most, because mode sounds like most. Your median is going to be the middle, because when you're driving down a road, the median is in the middle of the road. Your range is going to be the difference between your highest and your lowest data point. So in this case, we would do 18 minus 12, because 18 is our highest and 12 is our lowest. So that would be your range. Your mean is your average, because it's very mean. It makes you do a lot of work. All the others you can just look at. But the mean is very mean to us. It makes us do a lot of work, which means we have to add all of those data points up and then divide it by the number of data points. Add all data up and then divide by the number of data points. So here's the problem. We got P in the middle of this. Yes, Sarah, this is totally on. I was tutoring a couple of 6th graders this year, and I felt like that's all they did was these kinds of problems. So you're excellent on this. You're golden on this. Sarah could teach this problem to us. We've got 12 plus 18 plus 13 plus 15 plus 17 plus 13 plus P plus 15 plus 18 plus 13. So we're going to add all those up. 18 plus 13 plus 15 plus 17 plus 13 plus 15. I'm going to put the P at the end, and you'll see why in a minute, because addition is commutative, so I'm allowed to do that. And then how many data points do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But how do I figure this out? Like, how do I figure out what P is? Well, what else did they tell us? They told us that the average is 15. So if I solve all of that, it has to equal 15. So I'm going to add all those numbers up. 12 plus 18 plus 13 plus 15 plus 17 plus 13 plus 15 plus 18 plus 13. That equals 134. If I was actually taking this test, I would add those numbers up one more time, because I don't want to get a problem wrong because I typed numbers wrong in a calculator. 134 plus P divided by 10 equals 15. Now, P is trapped in numerator jail. The P is trapped in numerator jail. I can't really do anything with it until I get rid of that 10. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 10, because whatever I do to one side, I'm allowed to do to another. And I would go into more explanation about that, but we can't. We're about to die. So 10 divided by 10 is 1. So that unlocks our 134 plus P. So 134 plus P equals 150. So what is P going to equal? 150 minus 134, which is 16. A. So you got to add all of them up and then figure out what P needs to be to get you to that number, or you can totally solve it algebraically. All right, we're at 1%, so I'm going to say goodbye if my computer shuts down. Thank you all so much for joining us, and I'm going to keep solving, but thank you so much for joining us if I don't get to see you. Simplify. 3 minus 9 times negative 2 plus 3 divided by 3 minus 5. This right here is your order of operations. Order of operations. Order of operations says PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, which is parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Now, multiplication and division and addition and subtraction are married. You do not have to do them in that order. You need to do it in this order, but once you get to that multiplication and division, you can do multiplication or division first, whatever comes first, left to right, because we read from left to right. So if you see division and then multiplication, don't freak out and do the multiplication first. It's going to give you the wrong answer. Those are married.
All right. Well, I do apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to thank you guys. You can blame me, right? I've got Amy plugging in all kinds of different technology into her computer to run this. We're using, not to get too techie, but we're using a special live stream software that requires her to plug in some extra stuff. So she accidentally didn't charge it up all the way. So I do want to apologize, but got a little taste there. We're going to be doing this every single Wednesday night from 7 to 8 and 6 to 7 for our Central Peeps. Thank you for joining, because I posted this only in our Facebook group. So once we start sending it out to our mailing list and people sending it out and sharing it, this is going to be a great event. And we're going to do a mixture of all kind of grade levels every Wednesday night. A couple of you guys asked about recordings. These will not be available. Unfortunately, we're not going to make these recordings available for everybody, but we are going to be giving special discounts for people who attend these sessions to get our courses online. So I want to thank you guys. Join us next Wednesday. I will make sure that Amy charges her laptop, because she's got all the other stuff plugged in. Cynthia, Amy does all of our math classes at the Learning Liaison. So whether you're Florida, Praxis, or Texas, elementary, middle school, high school, she does everything. So if you want to get one of Amy's boot camps, I put the code on the bottom. I'm going to do this every Wednesday night. It'll work that night. 25% off any of Amy's courses, but I set it to work on anything on the website. So if you need elementary, you need middle school, you need high school, Amy's our featured math specialist, and she's always there to help you in our Facebook groups too, if you have any questions. So I'm going to shut it down here in a second. If you guys have any questions or comments, if you want, I know we didn't go through them all, but you can still get all of the questions that Amy's going to do. And if you have any questions about Amy's questions, she will answer them in your group. So if you didn't do that at the beginning, if you want to text MathStream1 to that phone number, it'll just ask you your name and your email, and we'll fire off the PDF, and it has 10 questions in it. So the ones Amy's already did and the ones that we didn't get to. So if I see a couple of you guys popping in right now, due to some technical difficulties, which we'll iron out next week, definitely, I promise you, Amy's computer just died. So, hey, it happens, right? So we'll make sure we got everything up 100% next Wednesday. But every Wednesday night, we're going to be doing this from now on. So happy to give you guys some extra help with math here. And we'll have some special giveaways and stuff for people who attend as well. So you guys have a great rest of your night. I do apologize, but we are going to shut it down because her technology shut down. TTV, now Anderson is unfortunately no longer with the Learning Liaisons team. But Amy is just as good, if not better, and we've got tons of people passing their test every single day now because of her courses. So we're excited to have her here on the team. So always remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's when you pass, not if you pass. I do apologize once again for the tech issues on Amy's end, but we will be back 100% for 1 hour next Wednesday night. You guys have a great rest of your night, and we will talk to you soon.